Hey everybody, Pete Meyer, Motor Age Magazine here. I get a lot of questions, especially from down here in the Southeast about, where are the training events for guys that live down here, especially in Florida. And it's been a long while since there's been some real great training opportunities available to the independent aftermarket techs that we have down here. And that's all about to change. In fact, it's coming up pretty quick. ASA Florida is getting ready to host their inaugural Foundations Training and Trade Expo, and it's going to be held at the iconic Daytona Motor Speedway. How cool is that? So to help me kind of explain what's going on and learn a little bit more about what's going to be going on there and how it got started, I actually have two people here with me. Let me bring them on. And we have Mary Steele up there in the top left. She is, and correct me if I'm wrong, the executive director for ASA Florida.
Correct.
Okay, I was waiting for the response there. And then, of course, a lot of you know the gentleman in the bottom there of the screen, not to be anything less than on top, the one and only Bryn Klein. Thank you for joining us, Bryn.
That's the benefit of having an interesting name, as I am the one and only gentleman. Thank you for having us. Really appreciate it.
Yes, yeah. Thank you.
So let's start off first by talking a little bit about what brought about the idea to hold this event. What brought about Foundations?
Well, I'll take it, and I think Mary can probably finish off my thought here. ASA Florida probably things kind of rolling again, maybe two and a half years ago. The affiliate kind of went away, fizzled out for a long time, but hit the ball rolling, and so a couple years now we've been trying to build a member base, and but we started to get some members behind us, and really wanted to pay forward and put on some training and a networking event for them. So that's kind of where it started. Mary can take full credit for the awesome venue that it's going to be at, so I'll let her talk about that. But real quick, I'm sorry to following up with what Pete says, he's absolutely right. Like, we don't get enough of it. There's great training and networking events across the nation. We don't get enough of it. We do get some. AVI has done some. Max has done some. But what we see, and that's why we're here, is we do all hear. Pete's not the only one that hears it. What's all the training events? And stuff does happen sometimes. You guys are not taking advantage of it. So that's why we're here, is to make sure you're aware that it's coming and that it's going to be an awesome event. And if you miss it, you're going to be disappointed. So go ahead.
Before I let Mary go in there, I'm going to jump in real quick, Mary, and I apologize for that going on. Yeah, I don't want to downplay any of the aftermarket training companies that are active in the state. I mean, of course, like you mentioned, ATG has a lot of stuff going on down here. AVI has done some stuff down here. And of course, you got the big boys. You got CTI, Worldpac, Napa. They're doing their circuit runs. But and to clarify for everybody watching, the reference I'm referring to is having a national event that could be the birth of something on par with many of the others that goes on around the country. We were just talking before the recording. I mean, recently ASTE just finished up in North Carolina. A couple of weeks, we've got the ASA Pennsylvania kicking off another Super Saturday. And then, of course, there are other ASA-related events around the country. So that's what I'm referring here to, guys. And like we said, it's being held at an iconic location that is absolutely unique. And that's where we're going to turn it over to Mary and say, Mary, how did you manage securing the home of the Daytona 500?
Well, that was quite the challenge, I have to say. But I'm not going to take, well, I will take full credit for picking the venue, but I'm not going to take full credit for securing it all, because we did that as a team.
We did do it as a team, but it was her idea, and I'll say the first go around, she approached us about it, and I would have to say probably all of us on the board are thinking, our first training event, and you're going to have it here? Good gosh, the pressure. But yeah, with her help and everybody on the board, it seems like we pulled it off pretty well. It is the first time, but it's not going to feel like the first time. It's going to be an amazing event.
Yeah, and I can only imagine. I mean, you don't have to be a NASCAR fan to be a fan of that venue. I mean, it is legendary in the field, not just NASCAR, but in other motorsports as well. For example, if you're a two-wheel fan like me, is there's the Daytona 200 there that's held every year for the Bike Week festivities, and just the Daytona area in general. I think one of the challenges for techs who are trying to find cause or reason to justify expense to go to some of these national events is how am I going to incorporate that with my family? And there's certainly all kinds of family friendly activities in Daytona itself and fairly close by. I mean, you're only maybe an hour or so away from Orlando. Mickey's there, so there's all kinds of things. You can actually turn this into a family vacation and leave away a little smarter than you were. So let me kind of jump ahead to that. The venue is certainly iconic. Let's talk about who's teaching there. What kind of training resources can guys get excited about, and gals can get excited about coming down to see?
Well, I'm going to let Bryn tell you about that.
Okay, we have some amazing stuff coming. The great Jim Morton is coming. He's teaching his general testing versus pinpoint testing. So it's a diagnostic approach class, which so many of us, even when we're out in the field every day diagnosing cars, we sometimes don't. We get out of the habit of having that routine, and Jim's going to come in and help us to get that more organized when we start our process diagnosing cars. Jim, for those of you that know him, is a bad man. So it'll be great. Brandon Steckler, of course, has had some pretty heavy steam behind him for a couple of his classes. He's got a Honda class that he teaches, but for our event, he's teaching his, at this point now, world famous engine mechanical testing using pressure transducer class. That's an all-day class. Jim Morton's is a morning session. But Brandon's class, I say world famous now because he was actually invited to go over to the UK and teach the class, which is pretty awesome. That class is very well, I don't know, I'm drawing a blank at the word, but people really, it's like a career changing for a lot of folks. He spent 12 years developing this material, and that's really good stuff. Richard Falco with CTI is teaching an all-day advanced driver assist class. And it's still very new technology, and we certainly had some at some of the national events, and even some of the regional training has done some advanced driver assist training. What's different about this is it's hands-on. And not only it's hands-on, but we have some plans to do some pretty cool stuff that we haven't seen anybody else do with the hands-on portion. So you'll have some classroom time learning about the technology, of course, kind of getting you up to speed for those that aren't familiar with it. But then we'll actually be doing some calibrations and potentially fixing some cars. So it'll be awesome. That's all day. Again, Richard Falco with CTI. It should be a good time. I'm starting with the technical first. Napa has got an all-day. I don't know a lot about it, but they're calling it a hands-on diagnostic class, and Mary can confirm this, but I believe they're bringing a car for that, so it'll be a live car that they're going to be doing an all-day hands-on diagnostic class. That sounds exciting as heck, too. They're also doing a 4-hour, I think it's afternoon, I hope it is, electronic climate control diagnostic class.
That's in the afternoon,
is
correct?
Awesome.
Yeah.
We chose that because a lot of the technical classes are all day. Jim Morton had a morning session, so we wanted to give some diagnostic class for those techs that wanted to do something in the afternoon. So Napa has that electronic climate control class in the afternoon. Should be a great class. Jasper's doing a diesel engine class. I'm not sure. They're doing it morning and afternoon, I believe, Mary. Isn't that correct?
Jasper is doing morning and afternoon, correct?
And then BG Products is doing a class in the morning and afternoon as well. Moving over to the management side, really awesome stuff there as well. Yes, there is more. We have, and if I'm missing something, Mary, chime in, but we have Sarah Frazier is doing a Generation Z, which I didn't even know existed, but Bill Haas and, of course, now Sarah Frazier have done a lot of great work with generational stuff, which we certainly have benefited from, yes. Generational Z, but also she's got some social media combined in there because, of course, Generation Z is probably very heavily delved into social media. But great management class. Jeremy O'Neill, one of my favorite, if not my favorite service advisor trainers. The guy, I've worked in this industry 20 years, and if I could work with somebody that's that good at building relationships and selling work, man,
Yep.
I would be in probably a lot better shape. Awesome service advisor instructor. He's doing the 4 pillars class. So he touches on the four big parts about selling, service the best way possible. And I won't get into the depths, into the weeds of talking about them, but I'm telling you right now that class is career changing for you service advisors, shop owners that are doing some service advising at your own companies. Awesome class. Jimmy Lee with Kukui is doing a marketing class, and I believe it's called you can't track what you can't measure, or you can't manage what you can't measure, something like that. And it basically gets into making sure that you're tracking your marketing efforts so you know what actually is working for you. And Jimmy Lee is a big personality, and it should be a heck of a lot of fun for those of you that are looking for we all could use marketing. I mean, it changes every day. For those of you that are looking for some of that is going to be a great class as well. And I know I'm missing something.
Aaron
What else?
Stokes.
Aaron Stokes. Most of you listening probably have heard his name. Aaron has got quite a following. Very popular, very powerful speaker. This should be, I use the word life-changing because these events to me are life career-changing. Not only classes with networking, but Aaron Stokes at one of the national events this year, standing room only for his class. He's got quite a following. He's a very powerful speaker, very material. Looks at he puts a lot of real life business into some of his classes. So sometimes I think as teachers, we tend to teach black and white, but it can be frustrating when we get into the field, and sometimes that black and white doesn't always fit, what's going on. So
No.
I believe that Jeremy and Aaron both do a really good job of kind of touching on that in between stuff that happens. So that will be an amazing class as well, I'm sure. And let's see, is there anything else?
Yes, we have ATI doing a class, a management class.
Good people.
Yes. What are the holes in your shop bucket? What else do we have? Oh goodness, we have at least 12 classes going on, Peter.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, it sounds like it's quite a lineup. And I want to kind of put this out here. When we talk about events on our side of the fence, we tend to use those kind of terms of instructors and teachers and classes. And I but Bryn, you said something earlier I really want to kind of bring to the forefront. These can be life-changing events for the attendees. And one of the things that really stands out in my mind where you could see that almost night and day difference was when we did our first commitment training up in Auto Mechanica in Chicago. We had a lot of people at that event who I'm sure we're going to see here who have never had the opportunity to attend an event. Again, for a lot of the Florida, Texas is a lot closer to home, easy to get to. I mean, if you live in Florida, we're a long way north to south, not so much east to west. So it's easy to get to. And the venue is going to be fantastic, a place to spend the day. I mean, to stress this, guys who are watching, we're not talking about being in the shadow of the Speedway. You're going to be at the Speedway, where these classes are going to be held. So that's really unique. And then the instructors are going to be present. A lot of these guys have that real world experience. And when you come and you see that, hey, this guy faced the same kind of problem I'm having in my shop or in my bay, and here's the solution that is going to work for me, that alone is worth the price of admission. And then to add into the fact that you're going to be in an environment with so many like-minded shop owners and technicians, all coming there for the same reason. They know they can be better, but they need the resources. And here, ASA Florida, Mary, Bren, the board, they've all come together to finally bring that available here to you. So it's really incumbent upon you now. What's your excuse? You got to attend. So let's tell them where they got to go to find out information, how to register, and how to make their arrangements, where they got to go.
You have to hop online, Peter. They just have to go to floridafoundations.com, right to our website. Or they can go to asaflorida.org, either one of those websites, and everything will be right there. They can book their hotel, they can see what the schedule is.
So real quick, when you go, don't Google Florida Foundations. Just type in www.floridafoundations.com. When you Google it, it doesn't necessarily,
Yeah,
unfortunately,
you'll come up with a lot of
in the
Florida
search engine.
foundations.
Yeah, we have our foundation problems, especially in the center of the state. So you'll be finding concrete guys out there. But just type into the web address bar www.floridafoundations.com.
Yeah, and we'll be sure to, not at all, we'll be sure to include the link in the video description no matter where you're watching this video today so that you can click right on that and go straight to it. And again, remember the dates, November 9th and 10th, only about a month away, but you still have plenty of time to get your registration in and make sure you set your foundation by attending the Foundations Florida Training Event and Expo. Thanks so much, guys, for hanging out with me today.